Have you ever wondered how someone can go from being completely grounded by a crippling fear to suddenly flying all over the country without a second thought? Well, today, we're going to dive into one man's incredible story of how he conquered a phobia that kept him on the ground for years.
Okay, just look at this. On the one hand, you've got 2 full years with 0 flights, absolutely none. And on the other, 12 flights in just 2 months. Now, this isn't just some made-up example. This is what actually happened to a man named Ian. So the big question is, how on earth did he do it?
So let's start at the beginning. This is Ian's story. For more than 8 years, he'd been dealing with anxiety. It was a constant battle, But one particular fear had started to grow so powerful that it was literally taking over his life.
And we're not talking about just some pre-flight jitters. For Ian, his fear got to the point where even the thought of getting on a plane could trigger a full-blown panic attack. And this was all tangled up with claustrophobia, which just made everything worse. But here's the really important part. He had already been trying to fix it. He'd tried other methods like cognitive behavioral therapy. But for him, nothing was clicking.
And this brings us to a really critical moment. I mean, when you've struggled with something for that long and you feel like you've tried everything, looking at something new can be, well, it can be scary. There's this huge wall of skepticism, this voice inside telling you it's not going to work.
Ian put it perfectly himself. He said, "I was scared and my anxiety was trying to sell me the idea to not do it." It's like his anxiety had a voice of its own, and it was actively fighting against a solution. It's a weird thing, right? The very fear you want to get rid of is also trying to protect you by keeping you away from anything new.
For Ian, the real game changer was actually pretty simple. It was a phone call. He got on the phone with Daniel Olson from the Orlando Hypnosis Center, a guy with over 30 years of experience helping people with this exact issue. And in that one call, Daniel just walked him through the whole process, explaining exactly how it worked. And that little bit of clarity was enough for Ian to push past the fear and decide to give it a shot.
So what was this new approach all about? Well, it wasn't about using willpower or just telling himself to get over it. The whole idea was to go way deeper, to actually start rewiring the subconscious mind. The easiest way to think about it is like an iceberg. You know that little tip you see sticking out of the water? That's your conscious mind. It's only about 5% of the whole thing. The real powerhouse is the other 95% submerged below the surface. That's your subconscious. It's running all your automatic reactions, your habits, and those deep-seated fear patterns. Trying to fight a panic attack with willpower, well, it's like trying to move the entire iceberg by pushing on that tiny tip. It's just not going to work. You have to work with the part that's actually driving the ship. So the process Ian went through was actually really straightforward. It all started with that one phone call. Then there was the first session, which was all about getting to that subconscious level, and really importantly, it included ongoing support, with calls and texts between sessions. He wasn't just left on his own to figure things out.
And this is absolutely crucial. This was not some generic cookie-cutter script. Ian's sessions were totally personalized, tailored specifically for his unique combination of issues, that general anxiety, the intense fear of flying, and the claustrophobia. That's what really allows for deep, meaningful change.
All right, so after the sessions, it was time for the moment of truth. The time to put all these new subconscious patterns to the ultimate test. After 2 long years of being stuck on the ground, Ian was about to get on a plane.
So, the billion-dollar question, right? After all of this, after working at that deep subconscious level, did it actually work? I'm just going to let Ian's own words tell you what happened. He said that on his very first flight back, those panic attacks that had controlled his life for years, literally, they stopped. Not just got a little better, they were gone. And get this, it wasn't a one-time thing. This breakthrough just blew the doors wide open. In just the next 2 months, Ian took 12 flights. 12. He didn't just manage his fear, he completely reclaimed his freedom.
The result wasn't just about the absence of fear. It was about the presence of something new. As Ian put it, I started feeling amazing, and that says it all. It wasn't just a change in his behavior, it was a fundamental shift in how he felt every day.
So why does Ian's story matter so much? Well, beyond being an amazing personal victory, it really points to a different way forward for anyone out there who feels stuck, who feels like they've tried everything for a fear or anxiety and nothing's worked. So here's the big takeaway from all this. Ian's journey really suggests that if you're fighting a battle with willpower and you're not winning, the problem probably isn't you. The root of the issue might just be buried in your subconscious, and that's exactly where the work needs to be done to create real, lasting change.
And Ian's final piece of advice is really for anyone who sees a bit of themselves in his story. He said, "If you have tried other things, give this a try. It literally changed my life."
Now, Ian's story is one of many from people who have worked with Daniel Olson at the Orlando Hypnosis Center. If anything in his experience resonated with you, and you're just curious to see what the process looks like for yourself, you can learn more at danielolson.com.